Hello everyone, welcome to our group's presentation about the writing paper review. We are from the group 5 and there are 4 members in our group. My name is DAIJINYAN, there are also WENFENG, DENGXINER and QIANSICEN. Today, our group will be reviewing Group 6 classroom-based writing assessment entitled An Item's Monologue. And this assignment is designed for Form 2 students as a guiding writing task, and the students are given 40 minutes to complete the task, and it carries a total of 30 marks. In this activity, students are asked to imagine that they are an everyday object, such as an old school bag, a pair of shoes, or a favorite pen, and then they write a monologue from the object's point of view, allowing the object to tell its own story. To support students throughout the writing process, the assessment provides 7 guiding questions, and these questions help students organize ideas logically by introducing the object, describing its appearance, explaining its daily life, recalling an important memory, expressing the emotions, and finally sharing a hope of future. And besides assessing students' writing ability, the task also requires students to use present, past, and future tense approaches within one piece of writing, and this enables teachers to assess both language accuracy and creative expressions at the same time. Overall, we think this assessment is interesting, engaging, and appropriate for the Form 2 student learners because it combines language learning with imaginative writing in a meaningful context. After reviewing this assignment, we identified several strengths that make the writing task effective for classroom use. So first, the task is highly creative and engaging. Instead of asking students to write a traditional essay, they are required to write from the perspective of an object, and this personification activities encourage students to use their imagination, thinking creatively, and express emotion through writing. Such a task is likely to increase students' interest and motivation because it is different from the conventional writing activities. Second, the task provides clear guidance through 7 guiding questions, rather than asking students to write freely without support, and the question guides them step by step, from introducing the object to describe its appearance, sharing memorable experience, expressing feelings, and ending with future hopes. And this scaffold, the schedule is especially helpful for the Form 2 students because it reduces writing anxiety and helps them organize their ideas more logically. Third, assessment successfully integrates different language skills. Students are expected to use the present, past, and future tense naturally throughout their writing instead of practicing each tense separately, and this allows teachers to assess students' grammatic knowledge in a meaningful communication context rather than through isolated grammar exercise. And finally, the assessment design is comprehensive. It includes a holistic rubric with 3 proficiency levels: high, intermediate, and beginner, and as well as sample essays that isolate the expected writing quality at each level. These examples help students better understand assessment criteria while about the supporting teachers in making more consistent and reliable judgments during marking. And overall, we believe these strengths make the assessment creative, well-scheduled, and suitable for developing both students' language proficiency and writing confidence.
Next, I would like to discuss 3 weaknesses that we identified in Group 6 writing assessment and provide several suggestions for improvements. The first weakness is the lack of clear text organization requirement. The task instruments only ask students to write a short monologue. There is no information about the expected structure, such as the number of paragraphs or how the ideas should be organized. As a result, students may adopt very different organizational patterns. For example, some students may write one long paragraph, while others may write multiple paragraphs. Despite these differences, all students are assessed using the same rubric. This creates a construct validity issue because organizations is being assessed without being explicitly specified in the task instructions. Therefore, we suggest providing a clear organizational framework. For instance, the instruction could state, organize your monologue into 3 paragraphs, an introduction, a memorable experience, and a future hope. By doing so, all students could be demonstrating the same writing construct, making the assessment fair and more consistent. The second weakness concerns task design clarity. The task requires students to write between 80 to 200 words while responding to 7 guiding questions. For Form 2 learners, this may create an excessive number of tasks demanded. Students need to introduce the object, describe its appearance, explain its daily life, recount a memorable event, express feelings, and describe future hopes, all within a limited amount of time. As a result, students may focus on answering every question rather than producing a coherent and meaningful monologue. Lower proficiency learners may also experience cognitive overload. To improve practicality, we suggest narrowing the word limit. This would make the task more manageable and allow students to focus more on quality rather than quantity. The third weakness is that the task may be over-scaffolded. The task provides 7 detailed guiding questions for students to answer, while these problems offer useful support, especially for weaker learners. Excessive scaffolding may unintentionally limit students' creativity. Students may simply answer each question one by one, rather than creating a natural and coherent monologue. Consequently, the assessment may measure students' ability to follow prompts instead of their ability to generate and organize ideas independently. To improve the task, we suggest reducing the number of guiding questions from 7 to about 4 or 5 key prompts. This would still provide sufficient support while allowing students greater freedom to express their ideas creatively. Overall, these improvements could further enhance the validity, reliability, and effectiveness of the assessment.
Now I'm going to evaluate the holistic rubric. So let's talk about the strengths first. One strength is that the rubric has clear descriptors across 3 proficiency levels: high, intermediate, and beginner. So each level includes a specific score range, making it easier for teachers to distinguish different levels of performance. The descriptors also clearly highlight important assessment criteria such as idea development, organization, vocabulary, grammar, and tense use. Another strength is that the rubric includes annotated sample responses. Instead of providing descriptors, it also shows real student writing with highlighted examples and explanations. For instance, the sentence, "Every mark is not a flow but a story," is identified as evidence of creating idea development because it gives the school back emotions and deeper meaning. This helps students understand why certain sentences receive marks and makes the assessment process more transparent. In addition, the sample responses clearly identify mark-worthy language features. Important vocabulary, grammar structure, and tense usage are highlighted throughout the writing. For example, advanced vocabulary such as precious memories and trusted compassion is pointed out, while complex sentence structured use words like although and since are also identified. Different tenses includes present, past, and future are highlighted as evidence of accurate language use. So all of these examples provided practical guidance for students who want to improve their writing. However, the rubric does not include CEFR levels, although the rubric has 3 proficient levels, but these are not explicitly mapped to CEFR levels. As a result, it may be less nationally comparable and less in line with standardized language proficiency frameworks. So we suggest that maybe they can add CFR levels to high, intermediate, and beginner levels. And there's another weakness that the rubric also has one noticeable weakness. The descriptors are written as such a long paragraphs. Although they contain detailed information, they can be difficult to read quickly during marking. Teachers may need more time to locate specific assessment criteria, especially when granting a large number of students. So this may reduce the efficiency and consistency of the scoring process. So here are some suggestions to improve the rubric. First, they can replace the long paragraph descriptors with concise bullet points, for example, point 1, point 2, so that the teachers can find the key information more quickly. And then they can organize the assessment criteria into clearly sections such as ideas, organizations, vocabulary, grammar, and language accuracy. This will improve the readability and makes the rubric more user-friendly. Okay, overall, we think this is a relatively strong rubric because it provides clear descriptors, useful sample responses, and practical examples to guide writing. However, there are some areas for improvement, such as the FR element to make the proficiency levels, and the long paragraph descriptors should be replaced with some bullet points to improve readability. Let's welcome the next speaker.
Hello everyone, let's move on to the sample essays. One strength of this assessment is that it provides sample essays for 3 proficiency levels: high, intermediate, and beginner. This helps teachers understand the expected standards at each level, and it also gives students a clear idea of what writing looks like. However, we notice one issue. As we can see, all three sample essays use the same object, which is an old school bag. The only difference is the writing quality. Because of this, students may focus on copying the same ideas instead of creating their own. For example, they may all choose to write about an old school bag because they think it is the correct answer. As a result, their creative may be limited. Another small issue is that all the presentation feels a little repetitive because the same topic appears 3 times. To improve this, we suggest that using different objects for each sample essays. For example, the high-level sample can be used about an old school bag, the intermediate sample can be used a favorite pen, and the beginning sample can be used the lost king. This shows to students that they can write about different objectives while still meeting the assessment requirements. Overall, using different examples can encourage students to think more creatively and produce more original writing. Now, I would like to summarize our evaluation. Overall, we believe that it is a very designed classroom-based writing assessment. It is creative, provides useful guidance, and encourages students to write imaginatively. However, some improvement can still be made, such as simplify the task requirements, short the rubric descriptors, and providing more very simple essays. With those improvements, the assessment could be even more practical for classroom use. In conclusion, this assessment is creative, engaging, and suitable for Form 2 learners. It is successful encourages students to express ideas through imaginative writing while assess improvement writing skills. By making a few improvements in this task design, rubric presentation, and sample size, this assessment can be even more effective and practical for classroom assessment. Thank you very much for listening. We hope our suggestions are helpful.